The trash they left behind the battlefield was silent now. Smoke floated through the sky like dark clouds. Bodies lay scattered on the ground, both human and alien. Broken weapons, crushed helmets, and scorched earth were everywhere. The air smelled like fire and metal. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. She couldn't move her legs. Pain shot through her side. Her armor was torn. Her fingers shook. She was bleeding. She looked around, but no one came. Her people, the Zorelians, were gone. They had left her behind. Her breathing became faster. No, no, she whispered. She tried to crawl, but her legs didn't work. Her arms barely had strength. She reached for her communicator. It was crushed. Useless. Lyra remembered the voice of her commander before the retreat. Only the strong survive. Leave the broken behind. She was the broken one now, and to them she was worthless. Tears filled her eyes, mixing with the dirt on her face. She wasn't a soldier, not really. She was a tech officer. She fixed ships, decoded signals, helped others. She never wanted to fight, but the war didn't care. Hours passed. The sun above turned red. Lyra lay still in the dirt, like trash dash forgotten. Suddenly, she heard footsteps, heavy, strong, coming closer. Her heart froze. Was it the enemy? Was it a scavenger? She closed her eyes, pretending to be dead. The steps stopped right beside her. Then, a voice. Calm, deep, and human. Still breathing, the man said softly. Lyra's eyes opened, slowly. She saw boots first, then legs covered in dark armor. A rifle hung on his back. A helmet shadowed his face. He knelt down beside her. She flinched. She expected pain, torture, death. But instead, he touched her gently. "You're not one of ours," he said, scanning her with a small handheld device. "But you're alive." Lyra's voice cracked. "Leave me. Go." The man didn't move. He looked at her face for a moment. Really looked. His eyes softened. He saw the blood, the fear, the shaking. But he also saw something else. Something that others missed. "I won't leave you here," he said. Lyra was confused. Her kind would have walked away. Humans were said to be worse. Monsters, killers, you? Why? She whispered. "Because no one deserves to die like this," the man said. "Not even an enemy." He reached down and lifted her into his arms. Lyra screamed in pain. "I know," he said gently. "I'm sorry." She couldn't believe it. He was carrying her. A human was saving her. Her own people had left her to rot in the dirt. But this stranger, this enemy, was doing the opposite. "What's your name?" he asked. She was silent for a moment, unsure if she should answer. Then she whispered, "Lyra." "I'm Ryan," he said. "You're safe now, Lyra." She didn't believe him, but she wanted to as he walked with her through the burning field. Lyra looked back at the wreckage, the broken metal, the smoke. The bodies. She had been trash to them, but now, carried in human arms, she wasn't trash anymore. Not to him. The human's choice. Captain Ryan's boots crunched against the broken stones as he carried the alien girl in his arms. Her body was light to light. She had lost too much blood. Her skin was pale blue, bruised, and cold. Her breath was shallow. She winced with every step he took, but she didn't fight him. She didn't have the strength. Behind them, the battlefield still burned. His radio buzzed in his ear. "Captain Ryan, respond. Area is not secure. Fall back to base immediately." Ryan tapped his comm unit, but didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on the jagged hills ahead. A damaged bunker lay hidden in the rocks. One he remembered passing during recon. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. "Why are you doing this?" The alien girl whispered weakly. He looked down at her. Her eyes were large and glassy, glowing faintly in the dim light. She looked like she had given up long ago. Ryan didn't answer. Not right away. He stepped over a collapsed drone, its metal frame still sparking. He could have stepped over her too, just like her own people did. "You're not my enemy right now," he finally said. "You're just someone who needs help." "But I'm Zarelian," she said, voice cracking. "I don't care." That silenced her. Reaching the bunker, Ryan kicked the half-bent door open and stepped inside. It was dark, cold, and smelled like ash. But it was safe for now. He set her down gently on a cracked bench and pulled off his backpack. He poured clean water from his canteen and offered it to her. She stared at it like it was poison. "I'm not trying to hurt you," Ryan said. She hesitated, then took a sip. Her lips trembled. She drank again. Ryan opened a medkit and began cleaning the wounds on her arms and neck. She gasped as the alcohol burned, but didn't stop him. "What's your name again?" asked Lyra. "Okay, Lyra, you're going to be okay." "No, I won't," she said quietly. "My legs, I can't feel them. They'll leave me, or kill me." "They already left you," he said, wrapping her arm in clean cloth. "But I didn't." Lyra stared at him. She didn't understand this man. He should hate her. He should turn away. Her people had burned villages. They had bombed his cities. And yet he was here, helping her, warming her hands with his. The radio in Ryan's ear crackled again. "Captain, urgent evac order. You have 10 minutes before the zone is firebombed." "I repeat, 10 minutes. Lyra heard it too. She looked up at him in panic. "You have to go," she said. "Now, they'll kill you too." Ryan looked down at her. Her voice was so small. Like someone who had been ready to die for a long time. Like she was okay with it now, as long as he lived. But Ryan wasn't okay with that. He stood up, walked to the doorway, looked at the smoke rolling down the hills. The fire was coming, and fast, 10 minutes. He looked back at her broken body lying. On the cold bench, his jaw tightened. "I'm not leaving you," he said. He marched back, lifted her into his arms again, and whispered, "You're not trash. Not to me." Then he ran toward the unknown, toward danger. Toward a hope she didn't believe in yet. But in that moment, for the first time in her life, Lyra believed someone truly meant it when they said she mattered. Shelter in the storm, the wind howled. Like a ghost across the burning valley. Captain Ryan stumbled through the thick ash clouds. Lyra held tightly in his arms. Her skin was cold, her breathing slow, and her body limp. Dust clung to his armor. His eyes stung, but he didn't stop. Behind them, the firebombs had started falling. Bright flashes lit up the sky. Explosions shook the ground. It wasn't safe anywhere, but Ryan knew there was one last hope. A supply outpost abandoned weeks ago, marked as unstable. Most soldiers stayed away from it, but Ryan had no choice. As he reached the entrance, the old metal door creaked open like it hadn't moved in ages. Inside was dark. Broken lights flickered weakly. Storage crates were scattered across the floor. Some had burst open from old impacts. The place smelled of dust, oil, forgotten battles. He kicked the door shut and lowered Lyra onto a blanket he spread on the floor. She groaned. Her lips were dry. Her eyes barely opened. He took off his gloves and opened a ration pack. It wasn't much, just a protein bar and a heat gel. But he broke the bar in half and pressed a small piece to her mouth. She flinched. "It's okay," Ryan whispered. "It's food. Try." She opened her mouth slowly, chewed, swallowed. A soft tear rolled down her cheek. "No one fed me since training," she said. Ryan paused. That sentence hurt him more than any battlefield wound. He took a breath. "You're not a soldier to them, huh?" No, she said. Just a number. He gave her water again. This time, she took it more easily. Then he took out a tiny heater cube and lit it. A soft warmth spread around the bunker. Lyra curled closer to it, like a child searching for comfort. Ryan sat beside her. There was silence for a while. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice trembling. He leaned back against a crate. "Because if I don't, who will?" Lyra looked at him with tired eyes. "You could have left, like they did. I've seen enough people left behind," he said quietly. "Some of them were mine. I'm not doing that again." His voice was firm, but underneath, there was pain. Lyra saw it. For the first time, she realized this human wasn't just kind, he was carrying his own scars too. "You're different," she said. He smiled faintly. "Some say that others just call me stupid." A small laugh escaped her lips, just a breath. Of it, it was the first time she laughed since the war began. Ryan pulled off his armor plate and unrolled a second blanket. He wrapped it around her carefully, making sure her injured legs were cushioned. "You're safe tonight," he said softly. "I'll watch over you." Lyra blinked slowly. Her voice was barely a whisper now. "I used to believe humans were monsters." Ryan looked at her, and now, chaos. She closed her eyes. "Now I'm not sure what to believe anymore." Outside, the storm of fire passed over the hills. Inside the bunker, two enemies rested side by side. One broken in body, the other scarred in heart. But between them, in the silence, something fragile was born. Trust. Her pain, his promise the bunker was silent except for the soft hum of the heater cube. Outside, the sky had turned to night. Broken stars peeked through the cracks in the clouds. Inside, Captain Ryan sat near Lyra, sharpening his blade out of habit, but his eyes kept returning to her. She was sleeping lightly, her breath uneven. Now and then, she twitched in pain. Her legs were wrapped in clean bandages. The damage ran deeper than wounds. Ryan had seen this before on his own soldiers. That look of being unwanted. That silence that meant someone had been broken, not just in body, but in soul. She woke with a jolt, eyes wide. Ryan turned to her calmly. "Bad dream." Lyra looked around in panic, her chest rising quickly. Then she remembered where she was, who she was with. No, she lied. He didn't press her, but she spoke anyway. "They trained us to obey," she said, "not to think, not to feel, just follow orders." Ryan listened without interrupting. "My legs stopped working during the blast," she continued. "I called for help. I screamed. They looked at me, walked away." Her voice cracked. "They left me because I was no longer useful." Ryan's hand tightened around the knife in his grip, not because of her, but because of what had been done to her. "You weren't broken," he said. "You were abandoned." Lyra blinked. No one had ever said that before. She thought being thrown away meant she deserved it. Ryan leaned forward. "You matter, even if they couldn't see it." She looked at him like she was hearing those words. For the first time, "Why do you care?" she asked. "We're enemies." He sighed. "Maybe on maps, but right now, you're just someone who deserves better." She stayed quiet for a long time. Then, almost afraid to hope, she asked, "Will they come for me?" Ryan shook his head. "Not your people." She looked away. "But I will get you out," he said firmly, "even if I have to carry you across the stars." Her eyes widened. "You'd risk that?" "I already did," he said, smiling faintly. "And I don't regret it." Lyra reached out, slowly, nervously. Her fingers brushed his hand. "I don't want to be alone again," she whispered. "You won't be," Ryan replied. Then, without saying more, he lay his jacket over her shoulders. making sure she was warm. That night, Lyra didn't cry. She stared at the human soldier beside her and felt something she hadn't felt in years: belonging. He didn't see a crippled alien. He didn't see an enemy. He saw her. And in that tiny shelter, surrounded by silence and ash, Ryan made a silent promise. He would carry her through anything, until she could walk on her own again. The journey begins. Morning came quietly. Sunlight broke through a crack in the bunker roof, landing on Lyra's face. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she turned and saw Ryan, sitting near the door, already awake, polishing his rifle. He looked back and nodded. "You slept better." Lyra gave a faint smile. "Because I wasn't waiting to die." Ryan walked over and knelt beside her. "We need to move." She blinked. "Move." "I can't walk. I'll carry you." She frowned. "You'll get tired." He gave a small smirk. "Then I'll rest and carry you again." Lyra didn't argue. There was no point. He had already made up his mind. Ryan packed supplies, checked the map on his datapad, and loaded a few salvaged medkits. Then, wrapping her carefully in a thermal blanket, he lifted her onto his back. Lyra gasped slightly as her arms wrapped around his shoulders. "I'm heavy. You're not," he said. "You're just someone worth saving." They stepped out into the wild wasteland. What was once a battlefield now turned into dry, cracked land filled with smoke, ash, and silence. The wind blew hard. The sun above was cruel. Every step forward was difficult, but Ryan didn't stop. He walked for hours. When he grew tired, he set her down, shared his water, and wiped the sweat from her forehead before continuing. Lyra watched his back as he carried her again. She had never felt this kind of care. Not from her commanders. Not from anyone. Only this strange, stubborn human. As the day wore on, the terrain got worse. Jagged rocks, burned trees, fallen wreckage. At one point, they heard a distant Ruralian patrols searching for survivors. Ryan quickly hid them under a shattered piece of hull, wrapping his body around hers to shield. Her Lyra's breath hitched as she listened to the low thrum of enemy engines pass above. "They'll kill you if they find you helping me," she whispered. Ryan whispered back, "Then let's not get found." After the danger passed, they waited a bit longer. Then moved again. Each step became heavier. But Ryan never said a word about pain. His legs shook. His arms trembled. Yet, still he carried her. Lyra pressed her forehead lightly against his shoulder. "You're risking your life for someone you barely know." "I know enough," he replied. "What's that?" "That you deserve better than being thrown away." Silence followed. Then she said something soft, something almost too quiet too. "Here, thank you." Ryan smiled. At sunset, they reached an old communications tower. It was broken, but Ryan believed he could use the core to boost a signal for emergency extraction, as he set Lyra down and searched for working parts. She watched him closely, not with fear, not with doubt, but with something she hadn't felt in years: hope, for the first time since the war began. She believed there was still something good left in the universe, and strangely, it had taken a human to show her that. Fire and trust night fell fast over the Wastellendes. Ryan and Lyra rested beneath the broken shell of the old tower. The wind had grown colder, howling across the hills like a warning. The heater cube flickered. Weakly, their food was almost gone. Lyra lay on a soft blanket, her legs bandaged and wrapped, her face pale from pain and hunger. Ryan crouched nearby, trying to fix the tower's core. Sparks flew as he connected wires, and his hands were blackened from smoke and grease. "I almost have a signal," he whispered. "Just a few more pieces." Lyra nodded slowly. Will they come for you? Ryan looked up. Maybe, if the signal's strong enough. And me. He paused. I don't know, but I'll make them take you. Lyra smiled faintly. You're stubborn, he chuckled. I've been told. Soonly a sharp whine cut through the night. Ryan jumped up, eyes scanning. The shadows. A red light blinked in the distance. Then another. Drone patrols. Enemy scouts. Fast and deadly. He grabbed his rifle. Stay low, he said. The drones fired. Ryan pulled Lyra behind a broken crate as plasma bolts tore into the ground around them. He returned fire, fast and precise. 2 drones went down. A third flanked them, circling wide. Lyra's heart pounded. She tried to drag herself toward a power box near the tower one still flickering. Her training came back in flashes. Tech work, circuits, access codes, she reached it. Plugged into it with shaky fingers, overrode the controls. A powerful shock pulsed through the air. The third drone froze mid-rand, then exploded in a blast of blue light. Ryan turned, stunned. What was that? Lyra groaned. Override pulse. Shorted its guidance core. He stared at her. You did that? She nodded weakly. I used to fix them. I still remember how to break them. Ryan dropped to one knee beside her. You just saved our lives. She smiled faintly. I'm more than broken legs, Ryan. He nodded. You're brilliant. He checked her pulse, still steady. Her skin, warmer now. Her eyes, sharper than ever. She wasn't just surviving, she was fighting, and she had chosen to fight for him. He helped her sit up. You've got skills. Real ones. No one ever cared before, she said softly. I do. Their eyes met. Not human and alien. Just 2 souls in the fire, finally trusting each other. Ryan looked up at the tower. One more day, he said. If we're lucky, someone will come. Lyra leaned her head against his shoulder. If they don't, I'll still be glad I met you. He smiled. I feel the same. And for a moment, surrounded by sparks, ruins, and danger, the fire didn't feel cold because trust turned and war burned brighter than fear. Worth more than gold? Sun rose slow and quiet over the wasteland. Golden light touched the ruined towers and burned out fields. Smoke from the night's fight still drifted in the air, but the wind was calm. For once, there were no sounds of war. Inside the collapsed tower, Ryan sat with Lyra wrapped in his jacket. Her head rested gently on his chest, her breathing soft. She had barely slept, but her eyes were clear now. Awake, aware. Alive, Ryan's radio buzzed. He grabbed it fast. Rescue unit inbound. Coordinates received. 1 hour until arrival. He exhaled. Finally, Lyra looked at him. They're coming. He smiled. Yeah, they're really coming. She didn't say anything, but her hand found his and squeezed it tight as the hour passed. Ryan checked her wounds again, fixed her sling, and even wiped the dust from her face. You don't have to do all this, she whispered. I want to, he said. You're not just a rescue target. You're a person. She blinked. To you, maybe. To me, he repeated. You're worth more than gold. The sound of a dropship echoed in the distance. A huge shadow moved over the horizon. The human rescue vessel descended, kicking up clouds of dirt as its landing gear unfolded. The bay door opened and medics ran out. Ryan lifted Lyra gently in his arms one last time. As he approached, the soldiers looked confused. One of them stepped forward. Sir, that's a Zarelian, I know, Ryan said. She's with me. They hesitated, but then made space. Inside, Lyra was laid on a soft medical bed. Tubes connected. Scanners buzzed. Her heartbeat appeared on the screen. Strong, steady. The commander approached. Ryan with a puzzled expression. You went silent for 2 days. You risked your life to carry her across a dead zone. Why? Ryan looked down at Lyra, who was finally resting peacefully. Because when the war ends, he said softly, the only thing that matters is who we chose to save. He turned and walked to her side, took her hand. She wasn't my mission, but she became my reason. The medics looked at each other, then at Heyman, said nothing more. As the ship lifted off, flying over the broken world below, Ryan sat beside Lyra, her eyes open for a moment. You didn't leave me. She whispered. Never, he replied. And for the first time in her life, she believed she was not just useful, not just a tool, not trash. She was someone worth saving.